This is part two of a story shared by one woman who thought she met the love of her life and flew all the way to Finland. Joe thought I was working a double shift, so I sat in my seat on the plane. I texted him that I was going to work and would be in touch after my double shift. He replied telling me how much he loved me and how his daughter was so happy her tuition got paid. He told me he wanted to marry me and texted me a picture of a wedding ring. I told him I loved him, and then I told Joe, sorry, I have to get to work, and I shut off my phone. The flight itself was a little over 11 hours, which gave me a lot of time to think, and honestly, during that time, I really truly thought Joe was the man for me and that we would meet and have this amazing time together. Even my best work friend wished me well on this, and I fell asleep on the plane and had a dream that Joe and I got married. I landed in Helsinki airport with a huge surge of energy. I imagined what it would be like when he gets the call that I'm at the airport, and I had the whole thing figured out and played the scene over and over again in my head. It took me a little while to get through immigration, though, and in fact, for a few minutes, I thought I wouldn't make it, as they asked if I have a boarding pass, all of my information, and if I have a return flight, and a hotel, and where I'm staying, and who I'm staying with. I told immigration I was staying with my boyfriend and that we had already met in person before and were meeting for a summer holiday. I lied and they let me through. I mean, it wasn't all lies. I was thinking I was going to meet my boyfriend. I told them that he was waiting for me here at the airport, and once I got my luggage and got passed through, I put my plan into action and I called Joe. He did not answer my call right away, so I found a place at the airport to sit, and I tried again. This time he answered, and I asked him what he was doing. He told me he was thinking of me and asked if, does you love me or do you not? I was playing a little game. His response was, of course, baby, I love you so much. And I told him, great, I have a surprise for you. And he asked what I bought him. I told him I didn't buy him anything. I'm here at the airport in Helsinki, and you can come pick me up or give me your address and I'll take a taxi to your house. Joe asked me if I was joking, and I told him no, and then sent him a selfie of me standing in front of the Helsinki airport terminal sign. The phone went quiet, and then Joe said, hello, several times. I asked if he got my photo, and he said no, the connection was failing, it was bad. I told him to look at his messages. It shows it's sent. I'm here in Finland. I wanted to surprise you to show you how much I love you. And I know you love me too, so come pick me up. If you're busy, I'll take a taxi. Just give me your address. I can't wait to meet you. And your daughter, Sandra. Joe went silent again, and then he hung up. I tried calling back, and he answered again, telling me his connection was poor and he didn't get me. He didn't get what I was saying. I told him again, I'm here at the airport in Helsinki, Finland. I'm here to surprise you. Joe asked me why I did such a thing, and he's been called back to Nigeria because of a building and construction emergency issue, and he'd not be back for a week. I asked him if Sandra, his daughter, is in town. She can come pick me up. He told me no, she suddenly went to Germany to visit a friend since he won't be back till next week. Joe apologized, but said it was an emergency. I told him we just talked less than 15 hours ago and you were at home. He told me yes, but his boss called right after we hung up and there was an emergency and he had to take a last-minute flight. Joe said he tried to send me a message, but his phone was very low on data and the message likely didn't go through. He said he was now stuck in Nigeria and his phone is going low because he left in such a hurry that he forgot to add minutes. My heart sank. I don't know what to do, and I asked Joe if he would be back next week, and he said yes, but he has no choice right now, and he doesn't know what to do either because his phone is running out of time. He hung up, and his phone cut off. I'm not sure. My mind went spinning, and I called my work friend to let her know what happened. She was expecting a video call with me and Joe at the airport, and here I am crying in front of her at the airport. I told her Joe said he had to leave for an emergency and I'm stuck. I didn't want to rebook my flight. It would be super expensive and availability might be hard to get. I ended up working out an idea with my friend and she helped me to secure a hotel near the airport and I ended up getting in a taxi to this hotel, getting a modest room for the next 2 nights so I could rest and figure out what to do. My friend made a point that I'm already here in Finland, already in a hotel, and I have my return flight home. Just extend my stay at the hotel, and when Joe comes back, I still have a few days to meet him and spend time together. If anything, enjoy Finland, enjoy Helsinki, and at least try to relax. I ended up sleeping that night. I was so mentally exhausted. The next morning, I had no messages from Joe, so I tried to call him. He didn't answer, but he did text back after I tried calling. He told me he was in a meeting and couldn't talk, and that his phone was low on minutes. He then sent me a link to a website to buy iTunes cards and told me to buy a $200 card and send him the code, and he'll call me when his meeting is over, and that he's sorry we missed each other in Finland, but we can talk next time and maybe meet the next time. I did not tell him that I extended my stay booking at the hotel. He assumed I went home, and I told him he should be able to buy the card himself. And Joel told me that he left in such a hurry for his emergency flight that he forgot his bank card and just grabbed his passport in a small bag. He begged me and said he would pay for another flight for me to visit him by Christmas like we first planned. Well, I went ahead and bought the card online for him and sent him the code, and I expected him to call me when his meeting was over. He said he would, and in the meantime, I treated myself to breakfast in Finland and a little bit of a walking tour and became a tourist. Joe did call, but it was a few hours later, telling me that he was so sorry about the misunderstanding and looks forward to us meeting soon. He then told me his company is flying home, and I told Joe that's great. And I'm still here in Finland, in Helsinki, and we can finally meet. Joe then told me that, well, he's actually flying to Germany to visit his daughter and her friend's parents' house and will spend a week there and then fly back to Finland after a week, and then he'll go back to Nigeria the week after. My heart sank again. I asked him where in Germany, and he told me Frankfurt. I told Joe, great. I'll book my flight to Frankfurt and meet you there. Well, Joe told me I couldn't as he was staying at his daughter's parents' house and they wouldn't allow unknown guests. Apparently, this is a friend of Sandra, her parents' house. And I told Joe, no problem. I'll stay in a hotel near you in Frankfurt and we can finally meet. Let's go to dinner. That's when Joe hung up the phone. At this point, I knew something was not right and I called my work friend and let her know what happened. And she suggested that maybe he's hiding something. Maybe he's in Finland, but he's a married man. She asked me if I had his address, and I told her no. I guess this is something I left out during my trip planning with my friend. She had suggested that I message Joe that I'm leaving to fly home and pretend to get home and then ask for his address to mail him a gift that I had bought for him and was going to give to him, but since we couldn't meet up, I could just mail it. So I did just that. I waited 2 days and I messaged Joe telling him that I arrived home and I'd like to mail you an expensive watch I had brought to surprise you when we were going to meet in Helsinki. What's your address? I'll mail it. Well, Joe replied right away, hoping that I had had a safe journey home and he was leaving Germany and suddenly flying back to Nigeria because of another building emergency, and that I can mail the watch there if I want. So I asked which hotel he's at in Lagos, as I assumed his company would be paying for a suite. He then gave me the address, which I texted to my work friend. I then told Joe that I'll put the watch in a box and mail it. And Joe, I'll put your name, Joe, and then his last name. Joe then told me no, that since he's not a citizen of Nigeria, he can't accept packages in his name, but I can mail it to a work colleague of his in Lagos by the name of Emmanuel. My friend, in the meantime, told me the address that he gave is to a house in Lagos, not a hotel. When I confronted Joe on this, he told me that the hotel will not accept packages, but his work colleague can get the watch at his house and bring it to him. Meanwhile, I'm living out my best vacation days in Helsinki and heading home in a couple of days, and I told Joe, okay, I'll get the watch in the mail soon. By this time, my friend and I are playing international detective, and she found an Emmanuel by that name on social media, or at least we think it's him, and it's a married guy with 3 kids who looks to be around 30. I ended up doing my best to enjoy my last few days in Finland, of this disaster of a vacation, but it was not all bad. I did enjoy being a tourist, be it alone in Helsinki. Joe would text me and ask how I'm doing. Said he was so busy with his contract and emergency that he couldn't call and that his phone was low on minutes, and I told him it's fine, I'm back at work. He asked if I mailed the watch, and I told him no, I'm too busy. I kept my distance, only giving short replies when he would write to me. When I returned home, my work bestie and I went to work to figure this out. Her son came over, and he showed me the video Joe sent me had it been edited. He explained how it's done, and we suspected that Joe was really Emmanuel. I felt so angry and betrayed, but I turned my anger into a game. And I texted Joe, and I told him that I'll send the watch, and instead of doing that, I'm just going to bring you the watch. And when will he be home from Nigeria back to Finland? Joe now told me he wasn't sure, that his contract was going to suddenly be extended and didn't know when or what was going on, and that he was so confused. Well, I decided to try something else, and I called him out and I told him, that's okay. I'll fly to Nigeria and meet you. I'll book my flight right now. Joe told me no, that it's very dangerous in Lagos, and I told him, I'm not worried. My work friend and her son will join me, and her son is a martial arts expert who travels the world. We'll book our flights now. Well, Joe hung up on me and texted that he had a sudden emergency call, that his daughter Sandra was feeling sick, and he asked me, instead of booking the flights, if I can take that money and send it to his daughter so she can get emergency surgery. I called Joe and he answered, and I asked for his daughter Sandra's full name, and he told me that his daughter had fallen so ill she was not conscious, and I need to send $5,000 to the hospital director in Germany. And he told me the name of a man in Germany to wire through a bank transfer and texted me all of the information. By this time, my work friend and her son were listening on speakerphone, and we all knew this was a scammer. My work friend's son told me he recognized the man's accent. And I told Joe, no, maybe I should just send the money to you, Emmanuel. Maybe your wife and children would also like a big gift basket from me as well. The phone fell silent, and then he hung up, and then he blocked me. I then sent a message to Emmanuel on social media asking why he blocked me, and was he too chicken to admit he's a scammer? Emmanuel blocked me on social media as well, and that's when I knew I had the right guy. I turned everything into law enforcement, which they gave me a case number, and I've heard nothing more. In the end, I lost a lot of money, my heart, time, and trust. But I did sort of enjoy a trip to Finland. But what a stressful situation, and a stressful vacation. Since this encounter, I do get messages from random fake profiles on social media and some real ones. But I'm happy to say I've met someone special, and we are dating, but it wasn't on a dating site. We did meet through social media, but it was a friend of a friend, and we've met in person, we're dating in person, and of course getting to know each other. I think my friend felt very guilty for hooking me up on the dating site to begin with. No more trips to Finland for me. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I'd like to thank this lady for sharing her story. It is an interesting story. A lot of people don't go that far when they're meeting someone online. They make sure that they get to know them a little more, video chat a little more, and ensure they are the person that they're meeting and they know more information. But sometimes the heart wants what it wants, and they just go for it. If you'd like to share your encounter, whether you lost money or not, whether you traveled, whatever happened to you, you can find me scammingscammers@gmail.com. Just send me your story. Any screenshots can help me verify your story, and I'm happy to narrate it into a video. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and don't fly internationally until you're really sure of who you're talking to. Until next time.